Good day, everyone. So, aside from the viewing skills that we have tackled earlier, we are now down to the listening skills, which we may be also categorize as part of the macro skills. So, to continue, let us first have the learning objectives. So, at the end of the lesson, the students must have first, explain what is listening skills. Second, demonstrate how to be an active listener. And third, formulate different learning activities which will develop their listening skills. So for today, we will be talking about the learning activities for developing listening skills. So let's start. Macro skills are most commonly referred to as listening, speaking, reading, and writing. There are only 4 macro skills until viewing became a skill that was taught until recently. But now, let us just focus on the listening skills. Listening is a communication technique that requires the listener to understand, interpret, and evaluate what he or she hears. This is a basic skills about hearing and perceiving other people's opinion and observing facts and emotional intelligence derived from the spoken word. However, not every person must hear to listen. Some people tend to use the words hearing and listening as synonyms, but they should not because there is a huge difference between them too. Hearing is involuntary and natural, while listening requires effort and more active. Since we cannot close our ears, hearing on the other hand is passive because the sounds produced around us will naturally enter our ears. Thus, listening is a skill that needs to be developed through concentration, practice, and patience. It was said earlier that listening is active, but what exactly is active listening? Active listening is the attempt of listeners to internalize the words that they are hearing. This is not just a practice or skill of going beyond hearing the words that another person speaks, but also seeking to understand the meaning behind them. This requires motivation and purpose, and the listener should have the intention to connect and participate. Now, how do we become an active listener? So, here's some tips. So first, face the speaker and have an eye contact. As we communicate personally or in face-to-face process of communication, eye contact is important. It makes the speaker feel that you are actively engaged to what he or she is saying. However, it shouldn't be too much since it can intimidate them or can make them feel uncomfortable. Second, do not interrupt. This will make the speaker feel that we don't have time listening to what they say, and this could be so much frustrating to them. We should allow them to finish what they are saying for us to understand what they want to convey. Next, don't start planning what to say next. We cannot listen and prepare at the same time. We cannot serve 2 masters at a time. That's why the best thing to do is to listen and focus to what the speaker is saying. At all times, we should put all our concentration to their words so we should understand it easily. Number 4 was to listen without jumping into conclusions. As listeners, we should give time to our speakers to finish what they are saying. We must listen to it carefully for us to avoid jumping into conclusions. And lastly, we have to listen to the non-verbal cues. As listeners, we should pay attention to what other person is saying. Through their facial expression, body language, and even gestures, it can tell us as much as what is being said in words. So in here, we should also need to be observant. I do hope that you will apply these tips in communicating with other people. By listening actively and effectively, learners will not only improve their connection and relationship with others, but also their skills as they interpret and listen to it. In relation to this, I will be providing examples of listening skills activities to help you develop proficiency and to sharpen your skills at listening. The first activity we have here is the message relay. This game is great for kids, especially students from grade school up to high school. To make this work, a participant needs to have an appropriate phrase or sentence that will serve as the message. And this message will be whispered at the next participant until it passed around to the entire group. The goal of this game is to have the correct message revealed at the end. This game shows the students the importance of active listening. Next is the Simon Says. This classic game is perfect for teaching active listening skills wherein the students have to pay close attention to the speaker as he or she says the task they need to perform. However, they can only do it if the speaker says, "Simon says." If there are students who did not follow what is being said, and then they are now out of the game. And for the last activity, we have the group story. In this game, the students have to actively listen to everyone's ideas. One of the participants will start this game by saying few words or phrase, and then the next participant will add to it based on what he or she says at the previous sentence. For example, if one student says, "My lovely dress," and then the next student or the next person will say something to describe or to give detail on it. Just like saying, "My lovely dress was given to me by my mom as a gift." By adding and adding of sentence or phrases, they will form a new story. The goal of the activity is for the students to listen and to repeat the full story they made at the end. Now, let us recall the learning activities that we may use to develop our listening skills. So first is the message relay, second was the Simon Says, and third was the group story. So for the summary, listening in the communication process is the ability to accurately receive and interpret messages. And this is what makes the listening skills an integral part of the communication process. Because without having the skills to listen effectively, messages will be misunderstood, which leads to communication to break down. So we really should master our listening skills, as especially that this is the key to all effective communication. So that would be all. Thank you for listening.